I'm gonna get worse than Crowder. I'm gonna get so jacked on roids and be like, let me tell you what they're taking away from you.
Yeah.
They're taking away your freedoms. They're taking away your rights to say anything. It's going to be vascular.
Dude, I'd love to see TRT Soder doing man on the street videos.
Just a jaw like this. Where I go, what's your favorite part of winning a war? I'm going to turn into Vincent D'Onofrio from Men in Black. I'm like, you got me, sugar. Dude, it's all fucking broke.
I watched a little of your new podcast.
Regz. That's like I would call that like I don't know. It's not mine as much as it is like it's a super group.
Yeah.
You know, like when guys go around
like the Tom Petty, the
traveling the Wilburys. What are they called?
The traveling Wilburys. That sounds right.
I don't know. I'm a pothead. My shit's burnt. But yeah, it's something we used to do years ago, and then I think Lewis got jealous of Protect Our Parks.
It was very funny listening to you call it Protect Our Parks on the podcast. That was great.
It was just like, this is because that's what happened. It's like, are we not going to act like we saw what happened? He saw three of our friends in Rogan, just like we saw Rogan bring in three of our friends, and now they're all in like, I mean, Shane was already there, but like, Norman was on his way, and Ari. They're all doing massive theaters. And then the four of us are sitting around like, fuck. So it was fun. So we started doing the Regz again. We're doing it once a month. And then I'm starting a podcast, I think at the end of October, beginning of November.
Nice.
And then it's like...
You doing it just you?
Yeah. I'm just gonna, I mean, I'm going to probably have like just me and a guest. But it was funny watching Bonfire fans being like, so what? You're going to like... work now? And you're like, well, yeah, there's a massive strike and I can't write anything, I can't act anything. And podcasts are good to have people land. It's a good way to promote your stand-up. I'm going to do like a shorter one, like 30 to 45 minutes, just with one person, just something you could pop on your way to work.
Yeah.
And like, most people are very like the people I've told, comics are all like, I told Big J. Yeah. And then people like, I mentioned that I'm doing a podcast and they're like, he hates Big J. He's going to be the first guest. You fucking idiots. That's like awesome. My boy. We went to Metallica this last weekend. Like, it's so funny because I think people are like, we've cured boredom, but what's replaced it is like nosiness.
Yes.
Like, no one's bored anymore. Everyone's nosy. Everyone's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, it's a weird parasocial shit.
It's creepy.
Like
because like people are like, oh, you're doing another podcast. Because like, listen, dude, the thing about the Bonfires, those fans fucking rule. They're great comedy fans. Yeah. But some of them are a little too into it. Yeah. So they get like very upset where they're like, you fucking leave the Bonfire and you just do everyone else's podcast? You're like, yeah, this is an hour of my time versus 8 hours of my,
Dude, we had that clip from our podcast where we talk about, like, we were imitating Chet Hanks.
And stuff. And that was so funny.
Thank you, dude. We got some comments that were like, Bonfire did it first, pussies. And I'm like, Soder likes it. I was like,
I love it. That's so weird. That's so weird because, like, we had a very early episode where Jay explained to me who Chet Hanks was, but we don't own the IP. We don't fucking...
You own all Chet Hanks.
We don't own... Chet Hanks is doing some wild shit since then.
Yeah.
And you guys were being hilarious. Yeah, dude, I mean, I think it's getting to the point now where we're reaching like it might be dangerous. Like I talked to somebody who worked at the Eric Andre show, and they were like, "Yeah, it was uncomfortable." Like, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Like he might be.
He's a wild boy with Eric.
Yeah, he's
on his Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, I think he seems like a guy where I hope he's okay. Like I hope he gets, because like we do this thing now where we like point at people. Like Britney Spears is probably the best example. We blew her up in the 2000s, and now she's just crazy. Yeah, now she just dances with the dog looking at her. Yeah, for it's like a psychotic dance, and then we're like, look at this crazy bitch. But what I was saying about Bonfire fans is like, it's so cool. Like when I first left, I was like, all right, guys, chill out. I don't hate Jay. I just want to do stuff. But now I'm like, when you pull back, you're like, that's so fucking cool that people care that much.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys have been comics. How long have you been doing comedy?
Like 8.5 years.
Yeah. 7 years.
You remember like year 2, you're like, no one cares.
No one cares.
And you're like, it'll be crazy if anyone does care.
Yeah,
and then someone cares too much, you're like, that's fucking impressive.
Yeah, it is.
You start off like everyone's gonna care, like when you like your first couple months, and then like a year or two,
then you lose the contest in Phoenix. have an hour and a half drive back realizing you ain't shit.
Dude, you start off being like, everybody's going to care and everybody's going to know. And then like a couple years in, you're like, I literally can't imagine someone caring.
Yeah.
I actually can't imagine anyone caring.
I think we're near the end of the podcast generation. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen it enough online where people are a little burnt out. Like, even us putting out the Regz, there were a couple people that are like, why do we need this?
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I agree. I don't know. I got time on my hands.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be good. It's like it'll just become like not as important, but more like a secondary thing of like, did you do your 30-minute podcasts or your fans?
Yeah,
for
Because
sure.
I think people do like having that BTS, like, oh, this is how the weekend went. This is how like if you and I worked in Tampa and then we like talked about it,
right?
You'd be like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There are people that like love comedy that love to hear all that shit.
Yeah,
and then there's people that are just straight up bored, and then they like put it on and they're like, "Fucking why are you saying that?" Well, I don't know, dude. You picked to listen to it.
They get mad that you're not entertaining them.
I think it's also like the fans are kind of like, it's like a relationship. When you first start dating a chick, you're like up late at night talking to her for like 3 hours, and then a couple years in, you're like, what? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, your phone calls go from 5 hours to 15 minutes. You're like, did you take the laundry out of the dryer? Okay, yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow.